Alright guys, we are back, and today we're going to be talking about this MacBook Pro that I've had here for the last 30 days. And as many of you know, I ordered this MacBook Pro. This is the M1 Max when it first came available back in October 18, I think it was. And it took roughly about a month for this thing to get here. So again, I've had this thing for about a month, and I'm not going to say that getting this computer has been the best thing that has ever happened to me. I think my wife and son, might have something to say about that. But this is one hell of an impressive computer that has quite literally made my life so much easier. And since I've got a lot of questions about the MacBook I have and how I like it, and particularly, I actually get a lot of questions about from people that are interested in doing video editing. And so as many of you may or may not know, a lot of these most of these videos that you watch here, I actually edit myself. So I thought I'd pull the curtain back and give you guys a little bit of a closer look at particularly what model I have, but more importantly, my 30-day review with it and factoring in the cost, the specs, and fast forward, do I think it's worth the cost or worth the price of admission? So in today's video, I want to give you my first impressions of this machine and also explain what features that I found to be the biggest game changers, and we'll also dive into the options, specs, features, and more into today's video. But first, hey, you guys got to do me a big favor here. As you know, we put these videos together to help you stay informed or make better educated decisions on gear that you might be interested in picking up. Now, if we are successful with that and this video does help you out, do me a favor by hitting that like button down below. It really does help with the whole YouTube algorithm. That said, my friend, pull up a seat and let's go. Now, before I break down all the features that I like most about this thing, let's break down or kind of give a quick look at some of the base configurations that are available with this computer. And I'm also going to expound on which ones that I chose. So with the new MacBook, you can either get a 14-inch or 16-inch display. Of course, I went with the 16-inch. Now, you can still get a 13-inch MacBook Pro with the original M1 chip as well, but I'm going to focus today on the newer models. Now, you can also get a 8-core or a 10-core M1 Pro or a 10-core M1 Max CPU, which is what I got. The 14-core, the 16-core GPU with the M1 Pro, or the 32-core GPU with the M1 Max, which again is what I got. You have 16 gigs of RAM with the M1 Pro or 32 gigs of RAM with the M1 Max. You have the 512 gigabyte or the 1 terabyte hard drive with the M1 Pro or the 1 terabyte with the M1 Max. Now, you can obviously choose to upgrade just about any of the specs with these machines. For example, a couple of the upgrades that you might consider about is to pay $400 for the 32 gigs of RAM and the 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook and pay the extra $600 for the 2 terabyte hard drive. Now, the same goes for the 16-inch model. So for example, with this machine, I upgraded the RAM to 64 gigs for $400 and I paid an extra $1,000 for the 4 terabyte SSD storage. So in other words, Apple continues to give you all sorts of options in processing power, storage, RAM, and so forth. So after my customizations, I ended up with a 16-inch M1 Max with 10-core CPU, 32-core GPU, 16-core Neural Engine, 64 gigabytes of RAM, and 4 terabytes of SSD storage. Man, that is a mouthful. Other features include Liquid Retina XDR display, 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, an HDMI port, a SD card, let me get that right, an SDXC card slot, a MagSafe 3 port, a 140 watt USB-C power adapter. Now you can choose either the 67 watt or the 96 watt charger with the 14-inch version. And I will say the 140, this thing charges pretty darn fast. Now you also do get the backlit Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. So the base price of this sucker at the configuration is $4,899. So the hot seat question and the burning question, the one that I've been getting quite a bit over the last month, has this computer, considering the price, lived up to my expectations? Okay, so before I get into has it lived up to my expectations, let me start by giving kind of a prequel to this here. So over the last 3 years, every year, I've been upgrading my MacBook Pro with Apple because I've been doing a lot more video editing and I needed a machine that would stand up for the demand that I needed to do, not only in studio or in office, but also when I get outside, because I'm out in the field quite a bit. And living in California where you have warmer weather, that's where the performance comes in, because a machine, if it's struggling inside an air-conditioned office, it's really hating life out when it's really stinking hot. And so last year I had a fully spec'd, minus the hard drive. I never max out the hard drives. I had a 2 terabyte in the last machine, and the year before that I had a 1 terabyte, I seem to recall. Last year's machine, the audio was pretty good. And while most of the time when I'm doing my editing work, I have my Bose headphones on, and I don't use the speakers on this too terribly much. If I'm listening to music or this or that, or a quick YouTube video, yeah, I'll use the speakers, and they do sound. The audio out of the new MacBooks here has a much fuller surround sound, if that makes sense. Now, the part that really is the magic sauce for me on this machine is the rendering times. This thing is blazing fast. Now, as many of you know, I have the R6 that I shoot with, and I also have the R5. Now, both of these, their video files can be a pig. And with my old machine, it was always having a tough time rendering and processing these files. With this thing, and that's another thing. Before, I would always have to set my files to proxy in order to try to make it easier to work with. With this, no, I don't need to deal with that anymore. This thing really cuts through these files blazing fast. And here's another thing that I really have learned. I absolutely love this machine. From my experience, a lot of laptop manufacturers always quote this 20 or 5,000 hour battery life. Yeah, not 5,000 hours, but you get the point. They always advertise this long battery life. And I've never personally experienced it, especially when you're processing or editing videos for obvious reasons. And why that takes place is the fans are always kicking on, which just sucks the power out of these things. The battery life in this machine, I'm absolutely floored. I can edit, render, spit out a couple videos and not have to charge this thing. The battery life on this thing is absolutely ridiculous. Now that leads into heat or really the lack of it. You see, last year's 2020 MacBook Pro that I had, now I bought that because it was a 16-inch, it was larger, it's supposed to have better cooling in it, but that was it was funny is the irony to this is last year, my MacBook before this one, that's the one that always ran the hottest for me. And you could have it sitting on your lap when I was down on the couch working away, and it would get uncomfortable hot. This thing doesn't get hot at all, which leads into the next item that I absolutely love. Now, if you know me, you know one of the things that just irks the hell out of me, like nails on a chalkboard, is hearing a computer's fan going off. And that's the thing I absolutely love about this computer as well. I've had it for a month. I've never even heard a fan in this thing. This thing is an absolute rock star. Now, in performance, this thing can handle a ton of multiple heavy-duty tasks at the same time as well. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, there are tons of ports on this thing. You have the HDMI, you have the SDXC card reader, 3 Thunderbolts, 1 MagSafe. I mean, you have a ton of. It's very modular, it's very scalable. You have this absolutely gorgeous display, which in my opinion, is absolutely important for photo and video work. You have 120 hertz refresh rate, exceptional color accuracy, and nice HDR performance, which make it a fantastic screen when you aren't plugged into a separate monitor, which actually, if you've taken notice of my studio here, that big ass 30-inch monitor or 38-inch monitor that I had in here is no longer in here. Maybe because I don't need it with this thing. I mean, granted, it had much larger real estate to work with, but I absolutely love working on this. Well, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I've had this computer for about a month, and I've taken quite a handful of questions with regards to, do I recommend it? Is it, I mean, let's be real here. This is an investment. This is a sizable investment. These computers, for being a laptop, are pretty expensive. And so, but this is the first computer that, in my opinion, from Apple that has really lived up to marketing expectations. I'm super happy with this computer. And no, this is not a paid sponsored video by any means from Apple, although Apple, if you want to talk, I'll be happy to sit down and chat with you. But on a serious note, guys, this is a great investment. Now, it's that time of the video, or it's at the end of the video here. Let's give a quick review of our current giveaway. We have 3 excellent prizes this time around. We have the Holdfast Romographer camera bag, we have a Hex Ranger mini sling, and of course the $100 Adorama gift card. As always, entering the giveaway is really simple. Step 1, like this video and subscribe to our channel. Step 2, leave a comment below. In fact, the more of our videos that you watch and leave a comment on, the more chance that you have to win. So check out some of our other videos and leave some comments. Step 3, register on Photography Talk and introduce yourself in the forum. Now, if you registered on the site already during one of the last giveaways, you're still eligible to win. But man, as I keep saying over and over again, I feel like a broken record here. Swing it by, say hello, post some photos. We would love to see you. Now, for complete details on the giveaway, including how to register on Photography Talk or how to say hello in the forum, check out the description below. Good luck. All right, guys, there you go. As always, I love getting in front of you guys. I love the feedback that you give when we're able to help you get out there, whether it's staying informed with what's happening in the photography industry or making smarter purchases or whatever the case may be. It's great to be in front of you guys. Now, it's that time of the video where I'm going to ask you to do all that YouTube stuff that really does help the channel out. Now, if you found some value in this video, hit that like button. If you currently aren't subscribed to the channel, friend, we would love to have you part of the family. While you're at it, hit that bell, smash it, kick it, do whatever you need to, but make sure that it's clicked. So therefore, each time that we come out with a video like this, you, my friend, are notified. Well, yeah, that's all I gotta say here today. So I'm gonna be jumping out of my studio here, so you get out there, stay healthy, and create your best shot.